Alright, so this is the outline of the presentation that we're going to be trying to do for social studies, the paper, right? So the first thing I'll be talking about is the art of war, knowing the social studies paper. We're going to be discussing about the themes, the various keywords, how to find them, and how to find relevant information that can help you in tackling the social studies paper. And I'll also be talking about certain tricks like using mind palace and conceptual memorization to help you tackle the paper. Next, we're going to be looking at an example of the GCE O-level papers found from SEAB 2024. We're going to be talking about how to answer the question and strategies to tackle an actual paper. Third of all is how to write fast. We're going to be talking about how do we do the formatting, for example, the peel format. We're going to be talking about the different types of questions. You may be surprised, which is actually one of them, the surprise question. And also the things to avoid when doing this. Right, so without further ado, let's get started. So there are a few themes you need to know in the social studies paper. How do you know this? Before, uh, now with new secondary school, the system, now everybody's going to be doing the SEC paper. So that means that whether or not in the past you're express, normal academic, or whatever it is, you'll be taking the same paper. Right, so it's going to be even more challenging because the difficulty will be much higher, and there is no differentiation anymore. Everybody taking the same paper in the future, right? The SEC paper. They will be removing the Cambridge papers. This for your information, but we still can have some relevant information to help us. So how do you check this information? Go to this website, seab.gov.sg, search it on Google, type Singapore Cambridge O-Level social studies paper. It should be combined science, it doesn't really matter. Geography, history, literature, still the same thing. So we'll be taking a look at the Singapore Cambridge O-Level 2260 Humanities, Social Studies, Geography syllabus for 2024. We're going to be taking a look at paper 1 first, right? So how do you know what themes you'll be tested on, right? Assuming that you have no clue on what you're doing, right? The first thing you need to know is what is the theme that you're going to be tested on. So how do you check the theme? You check the syllabus, right? Not check the textbook, right? Check the syllabus. Why the syllabus? I'm not talking about the school. The school give you the syllabus and then no. Check the government website. Yeah, check the government website and look at the syllabus that they've already uploaded. So how do you check? Issue 1, Exploring Citizenship and Governance. So this is a theme, right? So this is a theme, right? Take a look down over here, right? Living in a diverse society, right? Diversity. And theme number 3, globalization, right? So these are mainly the 3 themes that you'll be tested on. And in these 3 themes, there will be like different branches that you need to understand, right? So those are the 3 themes you'll be tested on. For those who have still don't know they're being tested on this, yeah. So citizenship and governance, diversity, and lastly globalization, right? So we are done with the themes. Okay, right, we're done. Now we're done with the themes. Now we're gonna take a look at keywords. Now I was actually interviewed about tips on strategies with an interview about how to find keywords, but I'm going to actually tell you how to do this. Right? I do not have the textbook anymore, it's gone, I threw it away after I graduated, but even though you do not have the textbook, let's say you never have the textbook, how do you check for the keywords? Alright. Now, the thing is, looking at the syllabus, you need to read these things here. Key understandings. This is what the examiners are trying to test you. Right? Test you in terms of your understanding. Right? Not the concept, but understanding. Right? Take a look at this. These are the various keywords inside here, if you're wondering. Now, if you go down all the way here, if I can find the thing, go down here. Right, take a look at this. This actually gives you the various keywords you need to use, or like the various concepts you need to understand. Right, take a look at this. There's a lot of things that you should know: citizenship, governance, trade-offs. Right, all these different things. Institutions, unequal sharing of cost, differing needs. Like you see these keywords here, right? Citizenship is complex, varied and complex. Right? Those are keywords. It's a political institution with important functions and roles. Right? Functions and roles. Right? Differing needs and interests and priorities, unequal sharing of costs. Right? And trade-offs. Right, so these here are really the keywords. They're already inside the syllabus. You just need to know where they are and underline them or highlight them and try to put it somewhere for you to remember. Right. So let's take a look at another example. Right. So if you go down here, you take a look at some guiding questions. Right. Right. See, what does citizenship mean to me? Right, so these are the keywords, right? Legal status, rights and obligations, shared values, civic participation. We go on to another question: what are functions and roles? Passing laws, enforcing laws, interpreting laws, right? Maintaining the law and order, etc., etc. These are all the keywords, right? It's all in the syllabus, right? seab.gov.sg, right? Go to this website. Trust me, you will be fine for your paper. Right, now that's it for keywords. We already did that. Now I'm going to move on to the next one, which is how to find information. Right, so let's say you're taking a look at, we're taking a look at globalization. Right, and let's say, like, how can we, what are the factors that contribute to globalization? Right, so let's say, how do you want to find information to help you in the paper? Now this actually this assists you in terms of the SRQ, source structured question, right? Which is like an essay format that you need to write a bunch of words, right? So how do you do this? It's really simple. In your free time, go to Channel News Asia, go to CNA.com, right? Go to CNA.com, click the search bar, take a look at topics and type globalization. Type globalization. It should filter out everything that somehow relates to globalization. Right. So in your free time, just try to read like 2 to 3 news articles and see which one fits the so-called question when you're studying. So for example, if you go back, let's say the contribution to globalization, let's say you're talking about technology, right? Digital technology. Go to CNA, right? Right. Type in article, filter by article, okay? And you go down to category. See this category section, go down to category and try to find technology or something. If you cannot find technology, just try to find like business related experiences, something like that, whatever it is. So let's say you can't find it, right? Let's type globalization technology, right? So globalization, this will include supply chains, right? Supply chains means different countries that supply different goods, right? Demand and supply. There's trades between the country and economic growth, etc., etc. Right? So, for example, take a look at this U.S. green trade war with China. You can take a look at this. Right? Just read through the article. You don't have to understand what is going on. There are certain keywords that you should know. So, for example, tariffs. Tariffs. That's a keyword. You go down here, read. So these are some examples, right? And you need to remember some of these examples to help you with your SRQ, right? How do you remember this? Imagine this, right? You're doing the paper, and then let's say there's a question about trades, right? And let's say they tell you about they ask you a question like about trade. What are some examples of trades that are not so good, right? So you can easily quote U.S. and China. U.S. and China always have problems with each other. So easiest to do is just quote these examples, right? Trade war. The trade war with basically every single product you can imagine, especially tech products, especially the chips. Yeah. So just remember that, memorize that, and you can help you tackle your SRQ questions. So this is exactly how you get information. If you do not want to read, you can actually watch the videos. Insider. If you go to Insider, CNA Insiders, right? You can take a look at a bunch of this stuff, right? COVID, like all you need to do is just type the search related stuff, like that, right? Okay, so now we have already went through how to find information. Right, let's take this. Okay, now we're going to talk about mind palace, right? How do we actually remember these things, right? Easiest thing to do right now is try to take in the most important information and link them to each other. What do I mean by this? So, take it for example, globalization, right? Globalization, you remember the theme. Globalization, something related to the world, right? Includes everybody, right? The whole wide world. From there, you break down the theme into main points, right? Main points, what do I mean by this? Factors that contribute to globalization. What are the types of response to economic impact on globalization, right? So from there, the theme, you break it down to main points and you break down to sub points of each, right? And from there, you can't memorize everything. That is for certain. You can't memorize everything. So using the concept of mind palace, if you can remember the linkage between the theme, the main point, and the sub point, which is called the bridges, if you can remember those things, it is easier for you to recall during the examination. Because just because you can memorize a lot of different jargon, that doesn't mean you know how to apply them in the question, right? So which is called conceptual memorization, right? You do not memorize everything. You memorize the concepts and you apply them appropriately, right? So how do you do this? You gotta practice your papers, right? Draw mind maps, stuff like that. Activate your mind palace. It's really powerful. Your mind is really powerful, right? So now we've really gone through chapter 1, the art of war, knowing the social studies paper. So now let's go on to the GCE O-level papers, right? So let's take a look at this. This is the GCE O-level papers 226101 2024 Cambridge paper, right? Gonna take a look down over here. So in this format, you'll be given a source-based section A, and then like if you go all the way at the bottom, if I can scroll it, the section B, source structured response questions, okay, which is the essay. So the so-called the tactic here is that you gotta know which question to answer first. Now you're really thinking, how would you know that, right? Take a look at section A. Section A, you should definitely try to score section A first, right? But there's certain questions that you should not do first, which is gonna be wasting your time. All right, wasting your time. Right? How do you do this? How do you identify which question you should do first, right? You gotta identify the difficulty of the question. For example, let's take a look at question 1. Study source A. Right? Do you think the cartoonist supported the policy of using foreign manpower in Singapore? Explain your answer using details of the cartoon. Now the key word here is explain using details of the cartoon, which is easy. Easy. So this question, you should definitely do it first. Right? Definitely do it first. Question 2. Sources B and C. How similar are these two sources? Now you may be thinking, right, it's pretty simple, right? Similar, not similar. There's only two possibilities, right? The problem here is that you need to explain the how part, right? Because just because you can say both sources are similar, you must also say not similar at some point, you see, because you say how similar, right? To what, like, to the extent of how similar are these things, you see. So this question you should not do after the first question. You should skip the second question. Definitely skip that one. It's pretty difficult, right? Number 3. Why do you think the Minister of Manpower made this speech? Explain your answer. This one is easy. Why? It's a why question. Why? Really simple to answer if you did a lot of PEEL, point, elaboration, example, and link. This should be easy, right? So do 1, skip 2, and do number 3. Question 4, E and F. Having read source E, are you surprised by source F? Explain your answer. Right? Are you surprised? This question is also really difficult. You should definitely skip number 4. Right? So surprise questions. These are the different types of questions which I will later go through some of them. But yeah, these are the types of questions that you should not do first because it's going to use more of your brain power. Which is not recommended. You should be trying to do the questions that you know you can do, immediately finish them, and then later take your time to try to do the card up questions. Right, last question is the blah blah blah, the policy of employing foreign manpower using sources. Explain how far would you agree with this statement. This question should be the last question that you should do, the last one. Okay, how far would you agree with this statement? Why is this the case? Because this is a 10-mark question. 10-mark question is going to be really difficult because you need to explain how far would you agree. So this means that you need to do possibly 3 PEELs, which is either 2 agree, 1 disagree, or 2 disagree, 1 agree, because it's a how question, it's the extent question. So tactics on how to answer the question is, I'm going to type it here. You want to do the easy question first, easy, followed by not so easy, then hard, right? I'm going to go from easy to not so easy to the hard ones, and this is how you identify which question you should do first, right? Next, I'll be talking about the strategies to tackle the paper. Now you'll be thinking, what kind of strategies can I even tell you? There is a lot of things that you should do, right? Before the paper starts, right? You will possibly have 10 minutes of waiting time, right? Waiting time before the thing actually starts. Usually the paper starts at around 8 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. That was, I took it back then, 8 a.m. or something like that, or 9 a.m. Doesn't matter. You possibly have 10 minutes. The 10 minutes is for you to, they say students are not allowed to use your phone, blah 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 blah. Any person who uses a phone, blah blah blah. That is not important. You do not need to care about that. It's a waste of time. You should be spending your time to activate the mind palace, right? They will give you possibly 1 minute to check the paper, see how many pages they are. Now you should be not technically okay. Yes, you should be checking the number of pages is correct, right? That's the first thing, first important thing. While checking the number of pages, you simultaneously need to check what questions you should do and memorize them. Right? You'll be flipping through the papers, check the number of pages. Do not just check the pages. Right? You need to check the question. Right? Don't, of course, don't read them. Like, you get caught like cheating. Alright. But like look at the marks. Right? Look at which questions are like really really difficult. How do you identify them? Surprise. How questions are more difficult than the why questions. So you can tell which ones you should do first, right? Just by flipping through the paper, right? So that's the thing you need to do. Next thing you need to take note while flipping through the paper, at the same time you need to take a look at the theme. The theme is really here: citizenship and governance. That's it, right? When you look at this, my palace activated. Okay, this is chapter 1, theme number 1, citizenship. Throw everything away, right? For the time being, okay, for the time being, you throw everything away. You look at theme number 1, right? That's how you do mind palace. The mind palace can only hold, a certain capacity of information, right? So throw that aside first, right? And make sure you get it back once you pass through this source space question. Take a look at theme number 1 and go down, right? Background information. This is the topic, right? This is the big question. You need to know this is the big question, okay? Some people, when they took the prelims, right, preliminary examinations before the national exams, they did not check this, okay? How far has Singapore welcomed foreign manpower into the country? You need to look at this question, okay? Seriously, like nobody reads this question and then they somehow get like L1 like 1/1 or like L2, like not a lot of marks, right? Because they never look at this big question. It's already giving you the biggest hint, which is foreign manpower, right? See, does Singaporean welcome foreign manpower into the country, right? Is it they welcome or don't welcome? That's it, pretty simple. Now, you need to look at the background information also. Now, you'll be thinking this is really long. Do not read word for word for this. Like seriously, do not read word for word. Use your pen, highlight or underline certain keywords you need to use. Right? You cannot use the background information to help you answer the question. This is just a context. You cannot use the examples in the background information to help you. But you can use the keywords inside to help you, right? For example, competition, competition, professionals, lower skilled sectors, foreign talent. These are keywords, right? Special skills, local workforce, right? Local expertise, right? These are keywords, right? So basically, in short, all you need to understand just by using 30 seconds, you can tell that, okay, Singapore is bringing in foreign workers, right? Some of them are talent, some of them are lower skilled laborers, right? People are losing jobs, most likely, right? And then Singaporeans are possibly pissed because, they have no jobs because foreign workers are taking the jobs, stuff like that. You got to get your brain going, right? This is how you get your brain going and how to think fast, right? Blah 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 blah. Okay, you move on, right? These questions is a picture, right? You have statistics. These are easy questions, right? If you have statistics, you have pictures, questions should be much easier. All right, and going down here will be the essay, which is gonna be a bit more difficult. I'll be discussing that later. So now we have already completed these strategies. Okay. Now we're going to talk about format. How do you know what format to use for what question? Okay, let's go back up again. Now, there's only a few types of questions you will see. What, why, how. That's it. What, why, how. You never see where and you never see when. What, why, how. Right. So, looking at this, right? This question, all you need to do is just use one PEAL format. P-E-E-L, right? So let's say you want to answer this question. Do you think the cartoonist supported the policy of using foreign manpower in Singapore? Right? Don't waste your time, right? Thinking about, oh, did they support? Did they not support? No. Don't need to think. Just write it first, right? Right, just copy and paste, right? Copy and paste. The cartoonist, right? Copy this, put it here. Right. The cartoonist supported or does not support. Right. All you need to do is just copy the question, right? Full stop. Okay, you go back, right? Explain your answer using details of the cartoon, right? So let's say you take a look at this, right? Right, how do you take a look at this? So you see this guy, right? You see this guy stepping on this guy, and then you take a look at this line. This line says productivity, right? Productivity. See, and this foreign worker is like bending down, is like working, right? Foreign manpower policies, right? So local cartoonist, right? Local means what? Singapore, Singaporean. So of course this Singaporean is most likely on the, like, the right wing, right? Right wing. That's okay. You gotta understand a bit of politics, right? There's right and left wing, right? Right and left wing, right? Right is more toward like more government, orientated, and the left wing is more liberal, right? So that's the thing you need to understand, right and left, right? So this is more towards, right. You do not want to be too right, you see, right? Because, you see, you're not taking care of the foreign worker, you see. So, but answering the question, right, does support the policy of using foreign manpower, right? Using foreign manpower. It's like, of course, yes, right? Then what you need to do is, this is the key word here, this is because blah 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 blah. You write the reason here. This is because you blah 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 blah. Taking a look at this picture, right? And then how do you do? Then you type according to the picture, right? According to the cartoon, right? Don't say picture. According to the cartoon, there is a local Singaporean, right? Right. How do you know he's a local Singaporean? Is because he's wearing the Singapore flag. So you're gonna assume that he's, a Singaporean local person, and this is a foreign worker. Stepping on a foreign worker, right? And then dot 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 dot. I'm not gonna type everything. And then it shows an increase in productivity. Right? Blah 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 blah. This is blah 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 blah. So there's a local Singaporean stepping on this guy. So then you go back, look at the amount of marks for this question, explain your answer, right? So, and then the last thing you need to do is hence, right? Or therefore, right? You copy and paste this again. Copy and paste this, and then you put as. Now you need to rephrase, okay? Rephrase the top portion, right? And the because section as increased productivity through foreign workers boosts Singapore's economy, right? And then you put whatever you want to put, right? So that is how you answer like these kind of questions, right? Same thing with how similar, right? Follow this same concept, right? You will have the statement, okay? You have a statement. The statement is answering the question, okay? Answer the question, right? How similar are these two sources? These two sources are similar, right? These sources are similar to a certain extent. Extent, okay? You need to say the word extent because it's a how question. How similar, right? So that means there's a possibility that they are not similar, right? So in this case, you have to answer similar, similar, not similar. And then the last point you need to say is that the similar is more than not similar. And then you have the conclusion. You have to conclude that, right? That although there are some points that they are not similar, but there are more points, there are more similar points than not so similar points. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes some sense, right? Now, there's a surprise question, right? Are you surprised by source F, right? So this kind of question is called referencing, right? Cross-referencing. You need to take a look at two different sources and go back and forth, right? So how surprised are you, right? Same concept, okay? Same concept. You have the statement, right? Surprised, not surprised, right? So what do you mean by surprised and not surprised? This means that, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say source A states that there is like some you know, a lot of people you know, eating a lot of fast food, right, lately. According to statistics, that like don't know how many millions of burgers or fries that are eaten every year. That's source A. Now source B states that according to this year, like XXX year, there is an increase. There's like a one and a half, like half of the population of this country has like, you know, diabetes or hypertension or like, you know, something heart disease related things, you know. And some of the data is being supported that, you know, fast food is actually one of the contributing factors to this. So are you surprised by it? No, because the previous one already said that there's a lot of people eating fast food. So this fast food thing, you know, you reference it, cross-reference it to the source, right? So you're not surprised because like more fast food, higher chance die. That's it, right? So that's how you tackle the surprise question, right? Now, how far would you agree? Same concept. I'm not going to go through. Okay, so that's it. You have the statements, similar, not similar, stuff like that. Okay. Now we have gone through the formatting. Okay. Now we're gonna be talking about the types of questions. I really went through some of them. Some of them they are not being mentioned in this paper. I'll be sharing with you. One of them is called usefulness. Now, usefulness means that if you're reading a source, right, how is this source useful? Right, is this source useful? Now, how do you know if a source is useful? Now, there's a few differing factors, right? You have to take a look at the context, and you gotta take a look at the person, right? Who is the person, right? Who said the source, right? Let's say I give you an example. Let's say there's one guy, PhD in like science and technology at A star, space technology, stuff like that, versus uh, an online commenter, possibly a troll online that usually talks about space related stuff on Reddit. Now let's say both are sharing research, right? Let's say both are sharing research about space technology. Which one would you think is useful at first glance? The first one, right? Because that guy is credible to a certain extent, likely to be credible, right? You cannot say that they are credible. Why? Because there is a fallacy. It's an argument from authority, right? If you argue that this guy is credible just because he has a PhD in space technology, that means you will possibly not get the question correct. Let me say that again. You cannot say that this guy gave a useful source because he is a PhD, master's degree, or 20 years of experience in blah 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 blah. Right? You cannot say that he's 100% credible. Right? You can say he is likely to be credible and useful. You understand that? You cannot say that they are 100% credible because there is an argument from authority. It's a fallacy, right? Just because a guy has a PhD doesn't mean that the guy knows what he's talking about, right? So that's usefulness. The next type of question is called reliability. Same concept, right? How do you know if the source is reliable? You gotta take a look at the person. Is it like a institutionalized person from the institution, the government, or is it like from the internet, a troll, stuff like that, commenter? You have a usefulness and you have a reliability, right? Those are some of the types of questions. Whatever it is, what kind of surprise, useful, is it reliable, stuff like that, you gotta follow the same writing format, right? You have a statement, answer the question. If it's like usefulness, useful, not useful, you gotta outweigh this thing outweighs this thing, right? Okay, we have went through the types of questions, and now how do you actually write fast? You only have a few not a lot of time to actually do all of these things, right? Now after you did whatever you like 1, 3, and all this stuff, you go down to SRQ, right? You gotta try to complete this if you can, because this one actually carries a lot of marks just by writing essays, right? In your opinion, how can public vigilance or blah 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 blah, terrorism, stuff like that, this is part of globalization, right? Remember, look at the theme, right? This is called globalization. Now, how do you write fast, right? You gotta make sure that you know what is the format. The format for essays is pretty simple. PEEL. That's about it, right? The problem here is that you gotta have examples, right? These examples you have to get them, in your mind palace already, right? Immediately after that, you gotta write fast, and it has to be legible, right? You have to write fast, but you gotta make sure the markers are able to see what you're writing, right? That is important. So that's that. Things to avoid: do not use anything from the extract or the sources. Do not use any examples. Don't try to copy and paste the example here into the essay, right? Unless specifically mentioned, right? Use the thing, do not use the thing. Okay. And yeah, that is about it. That is technically how you tackle a social studies paper. um, you know, there's some people that take a tuition for this. I honestly don't. It's a waste of money, honestly. All you need to do is you gotta understand the 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 strategies, and you gotta know what you're facing. You gotta know the battle beforehand, right? You gotta have a game plan. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.